Welcome to Butterfield Backstage Banter, the BSP podcast where host Jessica DeMent is joined backstage by her guests to banter about theater at Butterfield in Gainesville, Texas.
Hello and welcome to Butterfield Backstage Banter. I am your host, Jessica DeMent, and today I am joined by Hayley Colwell, who plays Elle in Legally Blonde, and Peanut, who plays Bruiser in Legally Blonde, and we are going to banter about Butterfield today.
Let's do it.
So, Hayley, why don't you go ahead and start off by telling me a little bit about your theater background and how long you've been associated with Butterfield Stage.
Well, my mom and I have always gone to all of the local community theaters and watched that since I was a very little girl, and Butterfield was one of our go-tos. And then whenever I moved back here in 7th grade, my bestie, Jay, who's actually playing Vivian, was in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and so she invited me and kind of got me restarted back in that theme, and she just kept convincing me, Hayley, you need to do theater, you love to do this, because I love to sing, and I love to be a little goofball, and so she was like, you would love it, and everyone's so nice, so I was like, fine, I do it, and then I did it in 8th grade, and then from then, it's a long history, yeah.
Absolutely, definitely. There are certain people who just don't get it, but then other people, you perform and you get bit by that theater bug,
yes.
And you're stuck for life.
Once I did the first one, I got casted as an alternate, and then something happened and I went in, and then once I had that little taste of stage, I was like, oh, I like this.
That performance rush, absolutely, yes, it's so much fun. I would presume that it's, that love of performing, but what has kind of kept you involved in theater for all of this time?
Yeah, I agree. It's that, it just feels so nice whenever you're on stage, but also throughout the whole rehearsal process, just getting to work together with a team and make those connections. It's such a little family. I know people say that, but it really is such a family at the theater. So.
Oh, I agree. Especially each show, you kind of get that sort of dynamic where when you've been working so hard together and you kind of finally hit that stride in the show where things are feeling good and you're just having so much fun, where it's just like, oh, I love you people and I love what we're doing.
Well, and the backstage, I know the audience gets to see one show, but the backstage crew gets to see a whole other performance while we're all trying to silently, because we have our mics on, communicate with each other. And so you have to really have a good relationship to be able to communicate so well, even without words.
Yes, I agree. There's just so much that goes on backstage that the audience never sees, and that's part of what makes a great show, is when all of that just goes so smoothly, that when there's those quick costume changes. I know you have a few of those in the show where you're having to change very quickly into dramatically different costumes, and sometimes those just aren't feasible without that help backstage, and it definitely helps the performance to go more seamlessly for the audience.
Definitely.
So, do you think that there's any part of your love of theater and your connection that is represented for you or in your role on stage that the audience will see reflected?
Well, I think definitely going back to those connections, just all of us get along so well on and off stage that I think you can feel it. And I mean, even my dogs are both the dogs in the show. My boyfriend is playing Emmett. My bestie is playing my enemy. The director is a longtime friend since high school. So just so many connections. And even Brooke Wyndham, Ashley, is the hairdresser for a lot of the cast. So I mean, we've all had just so much time to talk with each other. And I think you can see that relationship on stage as we're able to move around each other and just go around,
have that chemistry and that flow together. That's wonderful. Do you identify with Elle at all? And if so or not, why?
Most definitely. Whenever I even first thought of doing Legally Blonde, at first I didn't think it, and then suddenly I heard What You Want. I was like, wait a second. It was wait a second, this is the kind of girl I want. I was like, wait a second, this is me. I've always loved the movie Legally Blonde. I feel like she's just such a role model, and I think since I've watched it since I was really young, because I have 2 older sisters, so it's been like on even when I was a little girl. So I think it's just it kind of sorry.
She's kind of
like just
an
so
empowered
yes.
sort of woman, while still very much leaning into the femininity.
Yes,
so
and I think that's really me. Sometimes I feel like I can kind of be overlooked because I'm a little goofy, just like Elle is too, and so
not very serious.
Yes, but it's like we can be serious and
yes.
like girl power and all of that fun stuff.
That's so fun. What are some of the challenges that you faced with the show, either as an actress or just from a general production standpoint?
Yeah, well, I remember in the first podcast or video interview, Drake was talking a little bit about how some castmates didn't get to come in until later in the show. So I think that was a challenge, but that we came as soon as they came back. And then also, I feel like scheduling is a part that a lot of people don't think of with theater, but we're all doing this as volunteers. So we're all doing our show, which is, sometimes 5 or 6 rehearsals a week, plus our jobs, our families. So I think like making the time for that, and also making time at home to rehearse your lines and practice your songs. And thankfully our team has just been everybody's been so sweet and like helpful and sending videos. Like Susan will make piano recordings so we can all just like listen to them while we're in the car and practice our songs, and April with showing the dances. So just like really that scheduling and everyone trying to figure out all that.
I can definitely understand that. There's just so much time, and that's kind of another thing, like you were saying earlier about, the audience sees one show, but there's so much that goes into that production process of getting to that show, and that time commitment, and the fact that everybody that is involved with Butterfield is a volunteer, and we are coming up and spending 15, 20, 25, 30 hours a week into the show for 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes longer. I know with the musicals, there's a lot of times that goes longer. And so it is definitely a huge time commitment, and it requires a certain level of love for the theater and the craft to keep it going. But it also helps when you have a great cast, where everybody is showing up and doing their best and trying and encouraging and just working toward making that show great.
True. It feels like it's our social time.
Yes.
So we don't have that much time to have social
It's
time
about
outside of
social
this.
time, yes. What are some of the highlights of the process for you so far?
Oh gosh, everything. I feel like everything has just been so fun, like working with the team. Again, just everybody is so nice and works so well together. Like just on stage, just so many giggles. And especially with having the dogs here too, everybody is like always loving on them or giggling to each other. Just lots of smiles all throughout it.
That's good. That's good that it was such a joyful process.
But I feel like also with all of these shows that we've had so far, I've never had such a good experience with the audience interaction, which I think none of us were expecting. So much smiles and laughter from them too.
So that's so much fun whenever the audience does react. I think a lot of people, they're kind of afraid to have too much of a live reaction in theater. They're afraid they might interrupt the performance. But as an actress or actor on stage, when the audience does give you that, that gasp or that big laugh, or, even like the woohoo type thing, it's so invigorating and puts so much energy into that performance.
It's true. And guys, please do those. It actually really helps whenever there's extra clapping and extra laughter whenever I'm backstage trying to do my quick changes. It gives me like a couple extra seconds. I'm like, oh, maybe I can sneak in a sip of water.
See, so clap so Elle can be hydrated, y'all. Do you have any funny stories or wins that you would like to share with our audience?
Okay, I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but on the day there was the tornado, a bunch of us, it was like right at the end of rehearsal, and we were like, okay, we need to get going, and then it was like, we still had to put away all of our costumes and everything. So there was just a big chunk that were still left here. So we were like, okay, we should go downstairs because it's looking really bad. And like, this is a safe place to be, And so we're all sitting and giggling. The dogs are here, of course, too. And then it's like, we were here for too long. So Jay and I went to the costume room and we're like trying on costumes and coming out here, like putting on little performances for everyone. Like we were dressed as the thing 1 and thing 2 with the don't worry, we put everything back exactly where we found it. But it was really funny. And like one other cast member we had, they were like in the back and then they flipped the light, so everyone was scared. Then Jay came and I with like the tattered clothing and hair over our faces. It's so funny.
Oh, that's fun. Those memories that you never really expect with the theater process can sometimes be the most fun. I'm glad that y'all were safe that night. I know that was actually the first night that Drake and I tried to record. And then Drake ended things early and that storm was coming, so I like rushed home with my kids, and then that storm was just, oh my gosh, it was so awful. Crazy. And it was like such a crazy sort of a night, so I'm so thankful that y'all were okay, that Butterfield was okay.
Yes, we were glad too.
So, before we wrap up, why don't you go ahead and tell the audience why you think they should not miss this show? I know we have 1 weekend of performances left, so why do you think that everybody needs to make sure that they get out and see this show?
This show is such a good, heartwarming story. It'll bring you so much laughter. It just feels so nice to take a break from your life and get to sit down in a cozy theater for 2 hours, sip on some nice mocktails, and just watch some great theater performers do what they love and make some hilarious jokes on stage. Yeah. And you get to see cute dogs too.
Yes, 2 cute dogs. We have 1 cute dog with us today, but there's another cute dog. If y'all come and see the show, you'll be able to see. So, well, Hayley, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it so much. Everybody make sure to get out and get your tickets. I will go ahead and drop the link and the phone number for the tickets in the description box below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us. For more information, please visit butterfieldstage.org.